players, what's up? So it's me, Mrs. Sharp. So this is going to be your first lesson online. Sort of, I think. Yeah, it is. So we are going to be talking specifically about things that reed players need to know. So saxophones and clarinets. We're going to talk about reed placement, tone quality. My dog is going to bark through this entire video. And we're going to be learning a scale. Okay, so first I need you to have your instrument with you. So if you don't already have your instrument with you, please do pause the video, go get your instrument. It's very important. Saxophone and clarinet players, I need you to have your instruments with you for this lesson. Just waiting for you to go get your instrument. Okay, cool. Okay, so hopefully you have a reed, because that is what makes sound on your instrument. Nice and moist. And your mouthpiece. Hopefully it's not all gunky, because you haven't played. All right, so reed placement, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but just a little more detail because it's just us here. So that is a really good reed placement. I can see just enough of the black of my mouthpiece. This is too low. This is obviously too high. This is crooked. Yeah, so we want to make sure that our reed is really in a good spot. I like to put my reed on before I put my ligature on. That is a personal preference. I just hold it with my thumb right there. And then I ever so carefully slip my ligature over. Now, if you are not a careful person, put your reed and ligature on and then adjust, okay? Now, most of you guys have a ligature that has 2 screws. If you have a ligature that has 2 screws, the ligature is the piece that holds the reed onto the mouthpiece. If you have a ligature that has 2 screws, the screws should go on the bottom. They should go up against the reed. This should be where your 2 screws are, okay? Mine is a fancy schmancy ligature. It is made out of leather, and it actually only has 1 screw, and that is why it sits on the top, okay? But I think majority of you guys have the 2 screw one, because that's what comes with your instrument. Your ligature should be right below where your mouthpiece has this little bump. Now, a lot of mouthpieces, I'm not going to say all because I'm not sure, but I think a lot of them, especially saxophone mouthpiece, they have, I don't know if you can see that. Let me do the cool YouTuber thing, where you have this little groove. Can you see the little groove right there? That is a line to tell me exactly where my ligature needs to go. So they make it really easy. If yours does not have that, again, it's just below where your mouthpiece makes that little bump, okay? That's a good spot for that. And again, double check that your reed, after everything is tightened down, that it is right there. Okay? By this point, it's probably not moist anymore, so yum. All right, we're gonna start with just our mouthpiece. We're gonna talk about placement. So teeth, top teeth do sit on the mouthpiece, okay? Bottom teeth get covered up by our bottom lip. Now, you do not want like that. That's very uncomfortable. Will not give you a good sound. And we don't want to have our teeth on the mouthpiece. You're going to bite it. That's bad. So I say kind of right where your lip starts, like your lip line down here. That should be about where your bottom teeth hit. So if you fold it over, it's about right there, okay? And then that is the reed sits on. Your lip acts kind of like a nice little cushion. Now, how much mouthpiece should you put in your mouth? Well, it should not be the whole thing. Number 1, that's a lot. That gives you very little control of your instrument. It should not be on the very edge, because then your reed can't vibrate very well. So we're looking at about halfway. Okay? Now, this can kind of be a preferential choice, kind of how much from there, but you want to start halfway, and if it feels like it's too much, take a little bit off. If it's too less, then put a little bit more mouthpiece in, okay? Just whatever is giving you a good sound. Now get ready for my dog to bark, because we're gonna make some noise. So we're gonna make a nice beautiful sound, and that should be the sound that you get out of your mouthpiece. It doesn't sound great, okay? But you do want to practice keeping it that nice, long sound. So if you want to go annoy your family, go for it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't annoy your family. We're going to work with articulation with just our mouthpiece. So when we articulate or when we separate our notes, we're using our tongue Sometimes we call it tonguing, okay, because we're using our tongue. Right about there is where your tongue should touch the reed. Now, I don't think I can show you this. That looks so weird. Okay, so like my tongue is touching the reed. That's so weird. Okay. And I'm separating the note. One thing I'm not doing is I'm not stopping my air. I'm not going. First of all, I get squeaks when I do that because I'm not controlling my embouchure, not controlling my lips, okay? When I set this, okay, blow one consistent stream of air, and then use our tongue. My dogs are going nuts. It's a really quick little tap. That is something I want you to practice before you go on to anything else. So if you need to pause the video, please do practice that because it is it's kind of tricky. Okay, so pause, practice. Good. You good? Okay. I'm gonna talk to saxophone players for like 30 seconds. Neck straps. Okay. You want to make sure that you put your neck strap on before you get your instrument, pick your saxophone up, because we want the first thing for us to do is we want to lock it in, so that if anything happens, our saxophone is attached to our body and it cannot fall on the ground. Okay? Put my mouthpiece on here. And then from here, I can kind of decide how high I want my neck strap to be. This feels a little bit high, so I'm going to lower it just a little bit. Okay? I think it's a little too far. And then my mouthpiece feels, it doesn't feel like it comes right into my mouth when I'm sitting up nice and tall. So there we go. Your saxophone should come to you. You shouldn't have to sit like at an angle or anything like that, okay? So good height on my neck strap. I'm sitting up nice and tall. Saxophone comes right into my mouth. It feels comfortable. Now, owl reed players, without pushing any buttons down, let's play a nice long note. Good. I haven't played my saxophone in a really long time. Well, now with that, I want you to practice just making it a nice, consistent, long note. We don't want to hear. Okay, that's not what we want. We don't want that. Two things that, if you're hearing that, two things you got to fix. One, you got to make sure that your mouth is not moving around at all. Okay? And two, make sure that your airstream is really steady. We don't want that to be different. We want it to be one good breath, one steady stream of air, and then it stops. Okay? Without pushing anything down, let's do some articulation. Kind of sounds like a car alarm. Maybe you can go check your family. All right. So practice those things before you go on to anything else. We are going to work on a scale. So we're going to be going from some low to high. So saxophone players and clarinet players have a lot of the same fingerings, but I'm using my saxophone. Hopefully this is okay and not confusing. Clarinet players, you do have one extra button on the back that does need to be covered this whole entire time. Okay? Then we're going to cover up our first hole on the clarinet, second hole on the clarinet, third hole on the clarinet. Okay? With our left hand. And we want to make sure that we're using really flat fingers and we're coming at it right, very like flat, so that we can get a good seal. Okay, let's hear that note. Saxophone players, it's the same thing. First button, we do have a little extra button here that we're not going to push. Button, button. Okay, some of you might have a button up here. Mine's gold, so it's easy for me not to get confused. Okay, let's play that note. Beautiful. Okay, sorry, saxophone. We're gonna do 3 notes. 1, 2, 3. Again, 1, all 3, 2, 2 fingers, 1. Okay. Good. I want good sound, and I want you to start the note with that articulation. Ta, ta, ta. And if you can get really good, you can do it without taking a breath in between. Excelente. Now, this is where we differ a little bit. Clarinet players, your next note is just going to be your thumb. Okay? Saxophone players, yours is going to be just your second finger. So now we have 1, 2, 3, and then we have either saxophone with this one called C, or clarinet players, this one called F. Let's do 4. Do it again. Okay. The next one, clarinet players, this is the easiest one for you guys. It is absolutely no fingers down at all. Keep that hand close, but you're not going to push any buttons down. Saxophone players, this is where ours is actually a little bit tricky. So we're going to go back to pushing all 3 buttons down. 1, 2, 3. And we're actually going to use our right hand. 1, 2, 3. And we are actually going to be pushing that button in the very back with our thumb. Okay? Let's play just that one note. So if it sounded like mine, you did good. And if it didn't sound like mine, then something didn't work, and rewind and watch how I did that again. Let's do 5 notes. Starting with the bottom one, which is 1, 2, and 3. Here we go. Okay, I want you to practice those 5 notes, and until you can get those 5 notes, I don't want you to go on to the next 3. Okay, it's very important that those 5 notes are coming out really good. So if you need to rewind and watch again and figure it out and take some time to practice, that's totally fine. Pause and then go on. All right, because clarinet players is where your instrument gets really hard. Okay, I'm going to stick with the saxophones for a second. So clarinet players, just ignore me for a second. So saxophone players, we just ended with this note, D, which is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 in the back key, D. Okay, we're going to go on to the next one. This is very awkward for me. Going to the next one, all we have to do is lift our bottom finger. So we go from D to E. Then to the next key, you'd be like, oh, we're supposed to lift the finger. No, 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 no. It's going to be weird. It's going to be lift that first finger. So all you got down is that second key. So we go 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2, just 2. Okay, and the last note is going to be the same as the first, which is G, 1, 2, 3, but we are going to use that back key. Okay, so I'm going to play those notes for you. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, and then just this left hand. Let's play those. Okay, again, rewind and watch it again if you need to practice, but those are your 8 notes of your concert B-flat scale, okay? Clarinet players. We just ended on G, which is no fingers at all. The next one is going to be A, which is this key that is right up. So here's your first hole. There's a little silver key right above it. We're not going to use the pad of our finger. We're actually going to use the side of our finger. So if we push down the button, we're just going to go, floop. It's just that key. It's just this A key. That's it. Okay, so we have nothing to A. Now, what I want you to practice is going from A to cover up the first hole. A, cover up that first hole. Practice this. Okay, because the next one is going to be really tricky. All right, so the next note after A, we need first finger covered, second finger covered, third finger covered. Our right hand, first finger, second finger, third finger, okay? We're not even done yet. We need our right hand, the very bottom key you can press, okay? Not done yet. Our left hand, you got some choices on your clarinet. You got like you have 2 kind of looking keys. It's going to be the one on the inside. Okay, 2 like long looking keys over here to choose from. So one on the inside. And there's more. We're covering up that back hole. Well, now your thumb has to do 2 things. It has to cover up that back hole and press that little teardrop key in the back. Yeah, I know, it's so tricky. So you press both. So you're using every single finger that you have. That is going to be B, okay? It's one of the hardest notes to get out. So you're really going to have to practice just getting all those fingers to get covered, okay? The last note is a little bit easier. All you have to do is lift up your left pinky. So the last 2 notes, we go from here, just lift up that last pinky, okay? So the hardest thing you have to do is going from A to B, A to B. I want you to practice that a lot. So if you're only able to get out 6 notes and then you need some help, that's totally fine, okay? So tone quality, articulation, and that concert B-flat scale, that scale that we just worked on, okay, from going from low to high, 8 notes. I will hear that not tomorrow, 1 week from tomorrow, because that's when you bring your instrument to school. So you don't need your instrument tomorrow, but you will need it next week. So I want to hear what you have worked on that concert B flat scale on next Tuesday. Okay? All right. See you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.